Welcome back to Thoughts of War. My name is Bart, a follower of Jesus Christ. This is part of my video series that I'm doing on early Christianity and nonviolence. Now today I'm not actually covering a writing done by a early Christian leader. This is an edict that's actually made by the emperor, and this is going to be of Emperor Constantine. Now this was recorded in the Church History of Eusebius in Book 10, and this was decreed in 313. At this time, the Roman Empire it was divided into 4 parts. At this time, I believe it's now down to 2 parts before Constantine eventually becomes ruler over the whole empire. But this is a decree that him, the emperor of the West and the emperor of the East, this is them coming together and making this decree. Now, if you look at this decree, the main thing I want to show is towards the very bottom, you see it's in bold. We resolve that is to grant both to the Christians and to all men freedom to follow the religion which they choose, for whatever heavenly divinity exists may be propitious to us, to all that live under our government. So the main purpose of the Edict of Milan is you cannot persecute people because of the religion they choose. So when you looked at Christianity, it wasn't always persecuted by the entire empire. Often it was persecuted by just maybe the governor of a particular area, maybe just in a particular city. For whatever reason, let's say in the pagan days, just take Ephesus. They have a temple to Diana. Christians come in, they start talking that the idols are worthless. Well, you can see how they would then want to persecute Christians because they're hurting all these people who make idols. They're hurting their bottom line, their money, their financial profit. And so often Christianity could be persecuted in just different cities. It wasn't necessarily always an empire-wide thing. This has made it, with this decree, is that you can no longer persecute Christians throughout the entire Roman Empire. So this was a good thing. And so here we have the Edict of Milan. It says a couple questions we have to ask here is, Christians went from being a persecuted minority to being free to worship in public. So that's a good thing. They didn't necessarily have to go meet in a house, go meet down by the river. They didn't have to go hide in a cave. This allowed them to build a church building and publicly show that, hey, we are an official religion and that we can meet together in the open. And so this is going to be pretty important. But it also raises a couple questions that may come about. And I just want to ask the question, what are the dangers to Christianity now that persecution is removed? So you normally think, well, it's not good to be a Christian during persecution, but it could be bad to be a Christian without persecution. And the reason I say this is because notice when Jesus taught that if you were choosing to follow him, Jesus said you had to take up your cross and follow after me. Well, what happens when you're no longer persecuted? Then it's no longer having to take up a cross. What happens if you are it financially benefits people now to follow Christ? What happens when they can go up in the social ladder in their society if they choose to follow Christ or be a Christian? And so now Christianity is going to start looking something different than what Jesus taught about, hey, you're going to be persecuted, you're going to be hated by all nations. Now it's going to be looking like, hey, if I want to get ahead in this world, if I want to climb the social ladder in my town or even in the empire, I want to get closer to the emperor because I know he shows favoritism to Christianity. It may benefit you financially if you choose to follow Christ. So these are the things. Now people are going to start coming into the church, not necessarily because they believe in the teachings of Christ, but because it has other benefits. And Jesus taught that it was a narrow way to follow him, that, narrow is the way that leads to life. So what happens now when it looks like everybody is now joining into Christianity? And so you can see with the things that Jesus taught, with where Christianity ends up going, we can see this actually end up being more dangerous to Christianity than even the persecution itself. And so let's continue on, but I'm mainly concerned about the teaching of non-violence. And so we're about to jump into the First Council of Nicaea, because now the church can meet in the open and all the bishops of the whole empire can come together and gather without the fear of persecution. That's why this Edict of Milan is important.